Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another review. And TNA Genesis 2025 just happened, and they kicked off TNA the right way this year. Honestly, I enjoyed the show a lot. At times, it did feel a bit long. It was a 3-hour and about 3 hours and 15 minutes long show, but at times it did feel like it was dragging, and I think it was just because it was a couple matches which I could have done without being on the card. But the card was still enjoyable. The match was enjoyable. We may have seen potentially a women's match of the year nominee, if not the winner. I know it's early in the year, but this is something I feel will stand the test of time when it comes to looking at the top matches at the end of the year, but we'll get into that match a little bit later on. Let's start with the show. Let's get into the very first match. So the very first match is Moose, the current X-Division champion, taking on Ace Austin. Moose coming out with, there was rumors that apparently he was going to disband the X-Division. No more X-Division. And there was a lot of hate for that. A lot of hate. But no, all he's done is changed up the look of the X-Division Championship. Not sure if it's just for him or if it's something more long-term, but I don't mind the look at all. One thing that the title does look at like it has a moustache. A weird thing to realize, but I saw some other people saying it as well, and I just can't unsee it now. But yeah, let's get into the match. So the match was good. I think I was expecting more from this match, and maybe that is my own fault for expecting more from this match, but the match was still good nonetheless. Like, it holds up. It's a pay-per-view level match at the end of the day, but I was expecting this to potentially be one of the matches, if not the match of the night. But it probably wasn't even the top 3 matches of the night, unfortunately. So Ace Austin starts off hot as soon as the bell rings with a drop kick to Moose, and then starts taking the advantage. But that doesn't last long, as Moose starts throwing Ace Austin into the barricades, and those barricades moved. And then he looks for a pounce into the barricade again, but no, Ace Austin gets out the way, and Moose pounces straight into the barricade. So obviously then Ace Austin gets the advantage again for a little bit, and Ace Austin goes for a springboard attempt, but Moose catches him and chokeslams him onto the ring apron. So a very back and forth match. Like, as soon as one person gets the advantage, the next person loses. Or the next person then counters and gets the advantage back. There was a moment where Moose was running around the ring, kind of like Braun Breaker's spear where he does it around the ring. But Moose was running so slow. It didn't look good. When you see Braun Breaker do it and you see Moose do it, doesn't look good. He accidentally hits JDC at ringside because Ace Austin gets out the way, and this allows Ace Austin to capitalize, and he hits the fold out at ringside, rolls him in, doesn't quite get the pin. This is when the rest of the system, so Myers and Eddie Edwards, come out to ringside. Ace Austin just dives on them instantly, doesn't even let them get involved. But with that, as he gets back into the ring, he looks for another springboard and gets hit with a spear in mid-air. Ace Austin then kicks out at 2.99. Really, really close near fall. I thought the match was done there, but Ace Austin kicked out, and I'm glad he did. Kept him looking a little bit strong at least, which I can appreciate. Ace Austin then goes for the Art of Finesse, which is obviously his tag team partner Chris Bay's move, but gets speared in the back, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, Moose just speared him straight into the back, because obviously it's a cutter, so he's falling backwards. And then Moose gets up, hits another spear, and he retains his X-Division Championship. I enjoyed this match. Ace Austin did really well. His push, they stay building him. They're building him slowly. I think he's kind of taking Speedball Mike Bailey's place, if I'm being honest, in that role of where he is on the card. But yeah, Ace did really well. Just fell short. His push will continue. Moose was awfully slow in this match. And I felt the same about the Kushida match that he had at the last pay-per-view, Rebellion. Was it Rebellion? Whatever the last pay-per-view was called, I forget. Not Rebellion. Yeah, whatever it was called, I forget now. Moose was also slow there. Anyway, I gave the match 3.5 stars. I originally had it 3.75, but I thought, no, let me drop it down to 3.5, unfortunately. So, with that being said, let's move on. We then had a match between the System, so Brian Myers. So to lead into this match between the System, which is Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards, taking on Steve Macklin and Eric Young. After the Moose match and Ace Austin match, Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards and Moose all surrounded Ace Austin as if they're going to attack him. But then out comes Steve Macklin and Eric Young to make the save, and that leads up into this match, which I kind of liked. Get things going, get it moving. This was one of the matches I could have done without, or could have been on the pre-show, if I'm being honest. The match wasn't bad. It was fairly average. Nothing good, nothing bad. It was. I don't really think it was pay-per-view level, and I think that's the problem. If this was on TV, would have been a good match on TV. So the system, eventually it breaks down as a whole bunch of chaos, okay? But then once the match starts, the system starts taking advantage. And they start doing some just basic tag team wrestling in and out stuff. Alicia Edwards eventually pulls the leg of Macklin as he's making a comeback, which allows Eddie Edwards to land a Blue Thunder Bomb, giving the system the advantage, and then they isolate Macklin. Eventually, though, Eric Young gets the hot tag, and he takes out the system, lands an elbow drop to Myers, but Myers kicks out just in time. Myers then sets up Macklin in like a Tree of Woe position, and I think he's looking to like spear him in the Tree of Woe position. But, no, sorry, the other way around, sorry. Myers is in a Tree of Woe position, Macklin is looking to do something to Myers, but Alicia Edwards gets in the way. The ref is distracted by Eddie Edwards. Alicia Edwards punches Macklin in the face, and then he eats a spear by Brian Myers, but Macklin kicks out just in time. So then after some more action, just back and forth stuff, Macklin finally landed his KIA onto Myers for the victory. Decent tag team match, average stuff, nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary. It was fairly quick as well, which I didn't mind. That was once the bell rang, because there was a bit of action before. But yeah, I must say I do like the team of Macklin and Young. They are growing on me. Something about it, they just look like two badasses that can do some damage. 2.75 stars for this match. Can we move on? I think so. We then had, I'll be honest, another match I could have done without, but it is what it is. It's on the show. We had Spitfire, which is Danny Luna and Jody Threat, the current NXT Knockouts Tag Team Champions, taking on Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance. Yeah, just another standard, pretty average tag team match. Luna and Ash start things off in the match, and but Spitfire start exchanging tags early and targeting Ash by Elegance. Luna then goes for a dive to the outside into Heather, but Ash kicks her in the face before she can actually make the dive, and this is when Ash and Heather start isolating Luna with constant tags. Jody Threat gets a hot tag eventually and takes out both Ash and Heather, but it eventually leads to a backstabber by Ash, and then and then Heather with a double stomp for the 2 count. That was pretty nasty looking, but I've seen that somewhere before. I think the Rascalz do it. Some nasty snap German suplexes by Luna onto Ash, and after some action thereafter, Spitfire land the assisted powerbomb tag finisher for the 3 count. So basically, Jody Threat throws the opponent into Luna and she powerbombs. Average tag team match, some decent tag team action, but even the big moments didn't feel like anything to write home about, unfortunately. So 2.5 stars, dead average. Nothing, not pay-per-view worthy, and that's why I think these matches we could have given them a skip on the card. But now we got a pay-per-view level match. In fact, now we've got a match of the year contender level match. We got Jordynne Grace taking on Tessa Blanchard. Now, I'm just going to be talking about this match as a match. There were some she's a racist chants for Tessa Blanchard. I'm not going to say it was the whole crowd, because there was some pro Tessa Blanchard chants even. But there was that. That is something to acknowledge. Is it worth it for TNA to have brought her back? I don't know. But we did get a good match, and that's what I'm going to talk about, is the good match. So the reports going into this match were that Jordynne Grace didn't want to actually wrestle Tessa Blanchard, but she's a professional at the end of the day, and I can appreciate that, the fact that she's working with someone the company wants her to work with. They got the job done, they made their money. I can appreciate that. Far too often, I think we see in the modern day, people just don't want to work with people because they don't like them. I get it, you don't like them. I get why you don't like Tessa. It's understandable, but just do the work, get some work done. It's your final match in TNA, Jordynne Grace, before you're probably going to appear in the Royal Rumble and stay on the main roster, so good on you. Jordynne Grace starts off the match hard, taking it to Tessa before diving to the outside on Tessa with a nasty dive. Like, that looked like it properly hurt. Tessa eventually fights back though, sending Grace into the steel steps, allowing her to take advantage for the while. This match had a lot of stuff going on, guys. Every time Jordynne tries to fight back, Tessa's there to stop her momentum, and vice versa. It was very, very back and forth throughout this match, as Grace goes for a superplex, but Blanchard reverses it into some sort of dragon sleeper, on the turnbuckles, before hitting a code breaker from the turnbuckles. and then getting the pinfall, but not a 3 count. Nice fallaway slam from the top rope by Jordynne Grace. We've seen her do that a couple times, but it looked really good. And then Grace landed multiple power slams, followed by a lawn dart into the turnbuckle, and then lands a package power bomb for 2.99. It was real close. The near falls in this match were perfect. Blanchard then tries landing a destroyer, but with the arms locked in. Who did this recently? It might have been... I think it was one of the new the Stardom matches or the TJPW matches that I watched recently, where someone did a destroyer, but they had the arms locked in. Fantastic. I don't know how one does that. Jordynne Grace then lands a rolling DVD off the steel steps onto the floor on the outside. Nasty looking spot. They then go to the top rope once again, and it looks like Jordynne Grace is going for some sort of move, but then it gets reversed into a crucifix driver from the top rope, and Tessa gets a near fall on Jordynne Grace. Now we had a bit of a situation where you could see Jordynne Grace Tessa Blanchard trying to pull away at the turnbuckle pad at one point, but she couldn't quite get it off. Then they did a few more moves, and then she got Jordynne Grace down and tried to pull away again. She pulled away a little bit at the bottom turnbuckle, landed a buzzsaw, got a 2.99 onto the turnbuckle. Then she pulled away at the middle turnbuckle, landed, and she got that one clean off. She landed the bulldog, which she then followed by her magnum off the top rope for the finisher, and that was the end of the match. A weird ending. Didn't look so bad, but I could see it because we watch pro wrestling. But if someone else doesn't watch pro wrestling, they might not notice that was a bit of a weird ending. If that didn't happen, if that ending was more clean, if Tessa could pull it off the first time and not have to go back constantly, this might have been a 5-star match, guys. This might have been a 5-star match. But unfortunately that happened, and I can't call it a perfect match then. So 4.75 stars for that match. Tessa Blanchard, Jordynne Grace, 4.75 stars. Potential match of the year candidate for women's wrestling. Really fantastic match. It had everything from stories to real life heat to high spots to drama. It had everything in this match, and that's why it was so damn close to getting a 5-star. 4.75. I really enjoyed that match. TNA has lost Jordynne Grace, and that's a huge loss to them. A huge loss. But the WWE have got Jordynne Grace. And I do think this is one of the benefits of TNA and WWE's working relationship, because I do think Jordynne Grace was always going to end up at WWE. And I do think the fact that they have this relationship allowed her to work these matches, because her contract ended already in the 1st of January. So I think they had a mutual agreement that we'll get her for the Rumble. You can finish up with her. We won't sign her to a contract just yet. I honestly think that is the truth. We then moved on to the second best match of the night. I'll just say it straight up. We had Mike Santana versus Josh Alexander in an I-Quip match. And I got 2 things to say. These are my 2 favorite wrestlers right now, male wrestlers right now in TNA. One is leaving. One announced he's leaving. At the end of the match, he said he quits TNA. But Mike Santana is arguably one of my favorite wrestlers right now. His rise, his real life story of him struggling with addiction, struggling with his health, struggling with all of that, coming back, making a name for himself, getting in the best shape of his life, and putting on absolute great matches. I clap my hands for him. Clap my hands for him. For someone who was a tag team wrestler for so long, and he bet on himself, I clap my hands for him. So the early story of this match is that Mike Santana wants to take the match to the outside, but Josh Alexander is looking to keep it in the ring, because that's where he benefits. Santana then eventually takes a huge dive to the outside, and this is where he begins to dominate for a little bit. The crowd asks for tables, the whole "We Want Table" chants, and Santana delivers on their promise, and he gets the table out. But that table only comes into use a while later. But Santana charges at Josh Alexander. He lands a belly-to-back suplex on the outside, and this is where he begins to take over and start targeting the leg of Santana with figure 4s around the ring, stomps onto the leg, and around the ring post, and stomps onto the leg, and just destroying the leg of Mike Santana. Josh Alexander takes Santana to Suplex City, but Santana fights out of it and lands an enziguri, eventually finally taking him away from that Suplex City for the moment, because that can be a bit harsh on you. Alexander then misses with a moonsault attempt, and Santana catches him with a modified Death Valley driver. Alexander then locks in an ankle lock, but Santana refuses to quit before his boot slips off. Shout out Eddie Guerrero. They were in Texas. A lot of Eddie Guerrero moments / paying homage to Eddie in this match. Santana then charges Alexander, but gets back body dropped from the ring through the table on the outside at ringside. That was a fantastic spot. I absolutely love that. Crazy spot to be taking because it can go very wrong, but honestly, they did it so well. Shout out to them. Alexander then hits Santana's leg over and over and over with a chair, but Santana just absolutely refuses to quit. Santana finally gets bust open the hard way, by the way. He didn't gush out with blood, but he bled a little bit as Josh accidentally hit him with the elbow straight in the face or straight on the forehead. I don't think that was intentional at all, but he follows it up with a C4 spike, and Santana just absolutely no-sells that C4 spike. Nobody's kicked out of it yet. Santana still didn't kick out of it. This was more of a... Because it was an I Quit match, there was no pinfall. So, he just no-sold it. Santana lands a spin the block onto Alexander, but Alexander does not quit. Santana uses cable ties to tie Alexander's hands behind his back, and this is where it goes downhill for him. As he places him in the corner, puts the table over him, and cannonballs into the table. This wasn't my most favorite spot, I will be honest. I did not like this spot much, because why are you putting yourself through a table? First, it's not like putting yourself through a table where you both go through. This is you putting yourself through a table and Alexander's behind the table. Didn't like that spot very much. Santana brings out the slapjack, which is a sock with cue balls in it, pool balls, and just hits Alexander over and over in the abdomen area, hits Alexander, but he does not quit. Then we finally get a moment where there's steel steps in the ring. Santana has Alexander's hands. He's about to kick Alexander through, basically into the steel steps, and that is where Alexander says he quits. Fantastic I Quit match. Really, really good stuff. Hard hitting, violent. Told a great story as Mike Santana is now the guy in TNA, which was Josh Alexander's role. Josh Alexander told him this after his match, shook his hand, said, "You're the guy. Not only did I quit this match, but I quit TNA," and walked out. Josh Alexander to WWE? Maybe. I don't see him going to AEW. I don't know why, I just don't see it. I think he's the perfect fit for WWE. Put him on NXT for a little bit, because NXT needs help. Not that Josh needs to be on NXT. NXT needs help. And then we move from there. Our next match that we had was the Hardys, the current TNA Tag Team Champions, taking on the Rascalz, and this was a really, really enjoyable tag team match. The Hardys can still have a decent tag team match, guys. As much as they struggled for a while, they have now found a little rhythm. They have now found probably some health in their bones and their muscles, and they're not struggling with injuries, and they are doing probably the best work they've done for quite a while. I did some play-by-play, but not too much, because doing a Rascalz match play-by-play is absolutely difficult. But big surprise, Fraxium come out before the match starts, and they sit at ringside to watch the match. Why? Because the Rascalz still have a number one contenders match against Fraxium. And guess what? That's happening this week, Thursday, on TNA for the NXT title, which I really like. That's pretty cool now. Now we're getting somewhere with this partnership. Matt and Trey Miguel start off the match, do some basic stuff between all four men thereafter. They basic tag team wrestling. But eventually Wentz dives through the ropes, Matt catches him, and then lands a side effect on the outside. That was a nice moment. The Hardys then isolate Trey Miguel and work on him by landing a twist of fate by Jeff into a neck breaker by Matt. That was pretty cool, but Trey Miguel kicks out. We then get a poetry motion, followed by a twist of fate, but Trey throws Matt into Jeff. And, we then get poetry in motion. We get poetry in motions followed by an attempted twist of fate. But Trey Miguel throws Matt into Jeff, who's on the top rope ready for the Swanton Bomb. So it doesn't quite happen. Eventually, though, twist of fate by Jeff Hardy onto Trey, but he kicks out just in time. Lots of twist of fates here. They pulled out all the stops here. Again, another twist of fate, this time by Matt Hardy, Swanton by Jeff, and they get the victory to retain their tag team titles. The Hardys are proving they still have what it takes to have decent matches in 2025. The chemistry with the Rascalz was visible tonight. I want to see another match with them. 3.5 stars. Good tag team match. What else can I say? I want to see more of the Hardys versus the Rascalz. Hardys won, but I do think the Rascalz will get their victory at some point. We then move on to the second last match of the night, which is Marsha Slamovich versus, or the current TNA Knockouts World Champion Marsha Slamovich versus Rosemary in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. This is not my favorite match type. These types of matches where there's staple guns and where there's barbed wire and where there's... It can work, but sometimes it just feels forced. And I think here it felt forced. And I'm not... Both women do these types of matches from time to time. But for some reason, it just did not hit with me. And I think it's because I saw the Santana versus Josh Alexander match where they pulled out all the stops, but they did it in a good way. They didn't need the silly gimmick toys like staple guns, like barbed wire, like thumbtacks. So I think that was the problem for me. If that match wasn't on this card and this was the only match, I might have enjoyed it more. But I'm not going to do too much play-by-play. There was a staple gun by Marsha Slamovich. There was Janice, which is Abyss's 4x or 2x4, whatever you call it, with nails around it. Rosemary used that. There was thumbtacks, which Marsha got speared into. What else was there? There was barbed wire boards, which Rosemary got driven into and then double stomped on. Marsha got pushed off a ladder through 2 tables at ringside. That was something. Then there was a super pile driver from the top rope onto a bunch of chairs at ringside, standing chairs, and that was the finish. Very violent, very hardcore. They put their bodies on the line, which I can respect, just not my type of pro wrestling match. I know they worked hard, I know they put their body on the lines. Just because it's not my type of pro wrestling match doesn't mean I'm going to give it a bad rating, so 3 stars. Fair? I think so. We then moved on to the main event of the evening. Nic Nemeth, the current TNA World Champion, taking on Joe Hendry. The question is, do you believe? Because the match starts off with some straight chain wrestling, some straight amateur wrestling. This was a proper pro wrestling match. This was a pro wrestling match. That's what this match was. Nothing else to it. Nothing over the top in terms of overly technical. Nothing over the top in terms of fast pace. Nothing over the top in terms of high spots. This was a pro wrestling match. That's what this was. Hendry then powers out of a sleeper hold by Nemeth into his stalling suplex, which he lands. Ryan Nemeth, who was ejected from ringside before the match started, purchased a ticket for the event and distracts Hendry, and Nemeth then takes control thereafter. So he's now sitting at ringside. I thought he was going to get more involved than he did, but when he got involved, it was pretty funny, but we'll get to that. Joe Hendry then fights back with a cutter to Nic Nemeth. Hendry then follows it up with big strikes and a clothesline and a fallaway slam. Hendry goes for his standing ovation, but Nemeth escapes, and after some counter wrestling though, Hendry lands a pop-up powerbomb. Nic Nemeth goes for a top rope crossbody, but Hendry catches him, lifts him up, but Nemeth reverses whatever he was trying to do thereafter into a famouser. Pretty cool moment. Frankie Kazarian, who is the Call of Shot Gauntlet trophy holder, comes out to ring, which means he can call his shots at any time, kind of like the Money in the Bank briefcase. But JBL comes out, and he hits him with the clothesline from hell, and then just Ryan Nemeth tries to do something, I don't know, and he just eats a big punch, straight knocked out, lying on the floor. That was pretty cool. That was funny as well. Then eventually Nemeth runs into Joe Hendry. He gets caught with a standing ovation, but Nic Nemeth kicks out at 2.99, and I thought, oh, it's over. We don't believe. It's not going to happen. But Nic Nemeth lands a super kick and danger zone. Hendry kicks out at 2.99, and the crowd popped like crazy. The commentary for these final moments was perfect, guys. They really, I think it's Todd Grimshaw and Adrian English. That was his WWE name. I don't know what he's referred to here. Fantastic commentary by them. Hendry then with another fallaway slam, followed by standing ovation, and he gets the victory. And on commentary, they shout, "Do you believe?" as he's getting the pinfall. Fantastic stuff. It was kind of like finish your story that Michael Cole said, but a little bit, it's TNA. It's not WrestleMania. No shots to TNA there, it's just facts. This was a classic pro wrestling match with, not classic as in all-time classic, but classic as in follow the basics of pro wrestling. With a fantastic moment to end it off. I do think the moment was bigger than the match, but that was always going to happen if Joe Hendry won. But it didn't disappoint either. Like, just because the moment was big, it doesn't mean the match was bad. The final moments of this match were excellent, especially from the moment JBL came out, this match kicked off like crazy. 3.75 stars. It was still a decent match. How do you guys think Joe Hendry's title run is going to end? How do you guys think it's going to be? Sorry, not going to end. How do you think it's going to carry out? Do you think he's going to have a good title run? Or do you think it's going to be a little bit difficult for him? You guys let me know. But overall, like I said, I enjoyed this pay-per-view. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Far more than Final Resolution. Really good stuff. Really good matches. Some pretty average matches. Some matches I could have done without. But that's like any pay-per-view. And with that being said, I enjoyed it. Let's move on from that. The next video you guys are going to see from me is a best of 1984. So top 10 best wrestling matches of 1984. And thereafter, we finally get to WrestleMania 1. So with that being said, we'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.